Hello people, welcome to the Run Testers. I'm Kieran, I'm joined by Nick.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about these. These are the headphones, new headphones from Adidas. They are the Adidas FWD-02. And from now on, we're going to be calling them the headphones for that reason. Now these follow kind of hot on the footsteps of the ZNE-01 ANC and the ZNE-01, other true wireless headphones from Adidas. And we're going to be talking about whether or not these are better, how they stack up against things like the Beats Fit Pro, the Jaybird Vista, and those Jabras, and yeah, we'll be telling you whether or not you should buy them for your running. First up, price then, and the new Adidas headphones will cost you £139.95 in the UK, that's $169 in the US, and €169. When it comes to design, they feature a wingtip and gel design, and you get 4 sets of different size ear tips and 5 sets of different size ear wings in the box so you can mix and match. Controls are done via a force sensor rather than a full button, and that's made to be sweat-proof, glove-friendly and responsive. They pack in-ear detection that uses an optical sensor to trigger auto pause and play when covered or uncovered. And the case is slimline and quite unique, with this kind of breathable mesh fabric that's designed to allow sweaty or damp buds to dry in the case, and there's a magnetic detachable lid that removes the risk of that case lid breaking off. The earbuds weigh 5.25 grams and the case weighs 44 grams. Sound is powered by 6mm drivers. There's an awareness mode but no active noise cancellation. There is custom EQ with some presets, but there's no ability to save sound profiles, and you get 4 mics for calls, 2 in each bud. Battery life overall is 25 hours playtime, that's 6 hours on the buds and a further 19 hours in the charge case. Rapid charge offers 15 minutes for an hour, and it takes 1.5 hours to charge the buds to full while in the charging case. On connectivity, they pack Bluetooth 5.2, and they can be paired and store 5 different devices, though you will need to disconnect from one device in order to connect to another, even when those are the stored devices. The buds are also IPX5 rated, and the case is IPX4 rated. So first up, we're going to talk about battery life. Nick, tee us up with those top line stats again.
So you're getting 25 hours total play time, that's 6 on the buds and another 19 in the case. You've got some real world use stats, I believe, Kieran.
I do. So for me, an hour's run, pretty high volume on these, burnt around sort of 23%. So you're looking at a quarter of that. A 2-hour run sort of went up to around 30%, which means that those on paper kind of run stats pretty much ring true. You might squeeze a little bit more.
Yeah, as say for me, they came up true to their spec when I was using them, and you pop them in the case, they charge pretty quickly. So,
and overall, I think I got like a 2 week. I reckon you're going to get 2 weeks out of that sort of case plus buds combo, maybe a little bit more. So yeah, that's roughly a kind of charge rate, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Fit is obviously vitally important when you're talking about headphones for running. Nick, how have you found the fit on these wingtip buds?
Yeah, it's good, very good. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I like the fact you can choose between different wings and different in-ear tips. You can get actually the default fitted me really securely. I had no problems at all on the run, even kind of indoor sweating it out, doing cycling as well as doing outdoor running, bouncing up and down. No looseness, nothing at all, and it was comfortable. I'd say it's not the most comfortable. Like when I wore them for like a whole day of work as well afterwards, I started to get a little bit, kind of hot and irritated by the wings, but not at all. Not badly. Like they were still pretty comfortable, certainly comfortable enough to use for very long runs, I'd say. How about you?
I think this is one of the strongest points of these headphones is the fit. I found them like they were instantly kind of held tight in the ears. They feel nice and light. They're around kind of 5.5 grams, which is, one of the lightest buds that you can get. And yeah, they locked tight. They stayed put. They didn't move. I never felt like they were going to come loose on the run, regardless of how fast or kind of any kind of steep declines. Yeah, I just thought it was a really, really strong point. Good confidence with the fit, and that's not true of all buds. I'd kind of put them up there in terms of fit against the best that I've tested.
Yeah, another thing I'd say is that if you're a headband wearer like me, you can actually, and also when you're using the buttons and pressing them in, you can press these in and they don't hurt the ear, which sometimes with in-ear buds can be a bit uncomfortable. But no, they are, fit is definitely, I'd say, probably their strongest feature.
So there's another important sort of differentiator here in terms of the design, and it's interesting. This is a very different take on a headphone case, right? And Adidas have made quite a big thing about it. So we've got a couple of interesting features. So one is the fact that you've got this kind of fabric cover on the top of the case, and the other one, as Nick is going to demonstrate, is that the top of the case is actually removable. It's got a kind of magnet hook which clips back together. Now the reason for the fabric bit is to enable kind of water or sweat that's gathered when you're using the headphones. They put them back in the case to breathe out, to wick away or whatever. And the removable tip of the case here is basically so that the case hinge doesn't break. Now, Nick, those are two problems that I've never really encountered.
Yeah,
do you think this solves a problem, or do you think it's introduced a problem?
Yeah, they solved two problems that don't exist, and then created two problems that are much more important, in my opinion. One is you're going to lose that at some point. I love magnets, and the power of magnets is endlessly fascinating. But I think in headphones, magnets should be reserved for holding the buds in place. Even on the weakest hinges, it hasn't actually broken for me. But I don't hate the removable lid. It's quite funny. The fabric, I think, is silly because it's going to let water in. No, for start, headphones don't need the sweat wicked away. The headphones themselves are quite high water rating, so they're not going to be bothered by that. And all it does is catch water and sweat, I guess, is the problem, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's on the website, it's listed as IPX4 rated, so it's supposed to be able to kind of withhold against kind of splashes and stuff for up to kind of 10 minutes or whatever. But I know pretty much that the minute you get this into like a running belt, which I run with, or a non-waterproof pocket, or it's in the back of your pack and it's not in a waterproof kind of casing, this is going to gather water actually.
Yeah.
And over time that's going to put water onto the buds. I can't see any other way of this. It just seems like a random decision to me.
Yeah, IPX was. I just splashed this in Kieran's bathroom for fun. It was a very light splash, and it was not for 10 minutes. It was for like 1 second, and the fabric got wet. I shut it, and I opened it up, and the headphones were wet underneath.
It's a weird one. And also, the amount of times when I open up a case, I have held.
Yeah, he's very clumsy.
I mean, I wasn't trying to do that. That is what happens to me. And in the gym, wherever you are, that's just massively annoying.
Kieran tends to hold cases by the lid just for a laugh. But you can see it's a reasonably strong magnet, but it doesn't take much to kind of do that. So
if you're not paying attention and you open the lid,
oh god,
that's what happens. You drop them. And another thing that I've noticed as well is I think that the magnets in the case themselves that hold the buds in aren't particularly strong. So I've put my buds in and they've not been well seated. So you have to get these two lights on. And you have to actually make sure that they go in right. Occasionally, they haven't been seated properly, so it's not been charging. So overall, I think I love the fact the case is nice and slimline, and it's quite a sort of ergonomic case, but it's just they've made some odd decisions, I think.
Also, if you are slipping this into a tight pocket, the headphones stick up through that fabric. So as you slip it into a slight pocket, you're going to knock the headphone out of its seating potentially. I just think the case is a misstep, and solving problems that don't exist, and have actually undermined the buds slightly.
So onto the controls, then you've got something sort of slightly different here that sits between a button and a touchpad. It's a
force touchpad.
It's a force touchpad, so they're not quite physical pressure things.
When you squeeze the tip of an AirPod, it's like that. But this is, I think, closer to a tap. It's a bit more sensitive than the AirPod's force touch for me, I'd say.
And I've found them to be a little bit hit and miss, I think it's fair to say. Like sometimes responsive. Single taps I find kind of fine. It's when you've got to do that combination of taps to get them. Yeah. They don't always take the second tap.
2 force touches in a row is hard to do because it's got to be hold it for the right length, hold it for the right length. I will say that they made a big fuss in the launch about that they work with gloves. They do work with gloves. I use them with gloves a lot and they're fine. But yeah, I think I will say the force touch is slightly better than the tap for me because again, if I'm wearing a headband and you tap a headphone and it don't, if you force touch, it often does work. But yeah, they were kind of all right. Yeah, but yeah, trying to do skip, play pause is fine. Skip is hard. Skip back is forget about it.
So onto sound then, and what you're going to get with these is some kind of limited sort of presets in terms of EQ, and you get some ability to sort of set a custom EQ, but you can't save that. So how did you find the out-of-the-box kind of sound profile, Nick?
Well, I've only got the out-of-the-box sound profile because mine refused to connect to the app at the moment. But I found it was fine. Like, I was listening to it thinking, oh, this is okay. It's not outstanding. It's not as good as the Jaybird, the Jabras, the Beats, and all that. And actually, then I found out the price was 140. I think it's actually not necessarily good enough for that price. I'd probably say it's all right. You get a lot of mashing together of instruments. You lose a bit of clarity at high volumes. Picking out different things. The bass is fine, but I don't think it's as powerful and clear as you're getting a lot of other headphones. So yeah, it wasn't really a standout feature for me.
And to me, I wasn't wowed by the sound. I think I found like it had a good top volume. I also found that sort of things kind of merged. I personally found the bass on the sort of out the box settings a bit light. I found overall there was sort of, it was a little bit tinny and it just felt a bit thin to me, particularly with some of the music that I listened to.
Say the name.
To the European dance music that I listen to, which can't be thin and tinny, you know, it has to be full fat, you know. So yeah, I wasn't wowed by it, and even when I went in to change those kind of presets on the EQ, there's a load of there's one for Adidas mode, there's a rock and a pop, I think, and a dance music. You know, the differences in the levels between them, it wasn't a huge amount of difference. Yeah. And then, yes, you can tweak it, but it's a little bit annoying that you can't kind of save those profiles for different settings. So overall, I thought sound performance, like you said, I'm not sure it's up there on a par with some of the other big, good true wireless headphones that we've seen come out now. And for me, that also goes over into the fact there isn't active noise cancellation. You do get a hear-through transparency awareness mode. How did you find that?
It's weird. It almost creates a level of artificial noise, I found. It was quite scratchy. It let a lot of wind in, and you can't adjust how much wind you're letting in. So it wasn't the best. You will be more aware, but it's not exactly a pleasant listening experience, I'd say.
It's almost like a little bit white noisy, wasn't it? It's sort of like a bit, I don't know, it's sort of a bit fuzzy. It's taking the outside and laying on a bit of crackle. So
I'd say broadly on the sound and the hear-through are kind of what I'd expect from headphones that cost under £100.
So on to durability then, and we've sort of rattled on a little bit about the case, but what about the buds, Nick?
IPX5 is good. It's fine. It will withstand the vast amount of water this case will let in. It's fine for me. I don't know how it'll work in the cold though.
Yeah, I mean, we've not able to test it in sort of Canadian sub-zero to test that, but probably it'll be all right. I had no problems with these kind of with sweat and stuff on the runs. I'm a pretty heavy sweater, and they've held up fine so far. Do worry about the case. Do worry about two things. I worry about that losing that lid, and I do worry about kind of water getting in through that kind of fabric top.
Yeah, it feels like a case that's been designed to stay at home when you run, rather than one that you'd pop in a belt.
Connectivity then. This is something that a lot of other true wireless buds beyond Apple, if you're in the Apple universe, struggle with kind of things like moving between laptop to phones. How is it in terms of kind of staying paired to your phone whilst you're running?
It's interesting. It's been immaculate in being paired to my phone, but it will refuse to talk to the Adidas app at all. I've tried resetting both, and I'm disconnecting the headphones from my phone and everything, but they're connected to my phone very reliably. I take them out and they're always working. So, it's kind of fine. I'd like to go into the Adidas app once and play around with the EQs, but it's not the end of the world. But that's not great, is it? How about you? You managed to get paired to the app eventually, was it?
I did. It took wasn't one of those that kind of out of the box, very simple to connect. It was like I had to do that thing where you toggle the Bluetooth on and off and make it forget it because it didn't connect. It connected to my phone but didn't connect with the app.
Yeah.
Forgot that. Managed to get it to connect to the app, but now when I go back in to the app, it doesn't always recognise that it's connected. It knows my phone knows it's connected. Sometimes, get this, the app on one of the screens knows that the headphones are connected, but I can't do anything within the app because on the main screen it's saying it's not.
It's weird.
So it's very strange and a bit annoying and a bit kind of buggy, particularly if you want to tweak those EQ levels, which I think often you probably need to do. The other thing, I definitely had dropouts whilst running.
Oh, okay.
I don't normally tend to suffer from that with most of the true wireless headphones, so I didn't have that with any of the sort of Jabra Elites. So I haven't really experienced that with the Jaybirds.
That is surprising, yeah.
The Beats. This one, a couple of times, just not for long periods, but it just drop out and come back sort of 30 seconds later.
That's not good.
And then I think it was as buggy as other true wireless headphones when switching from my phone to my laptop. You do have to go in and make the first device kind of forget or disconnect before you connect to the other one. But even having done that, sometimes particularly trying to get it to recognise on the Mac, you sit there and wait for 20 minutes before. And that might be the Mac deciding it doesn't like the Adidas headphones more than the Adidas headphones, but
the Mac's heard about the case.
Yeah, it's not that kind of seamless experience that you'll get from something like the Beats Fit Pro. And if that's important to you, I don't think you get better than the Beats Fit Pro or what are the Apple AirPods.
Jabras are pretty good. I mean, even if you're within Apple, the Jabras seem remarkably adept at swapping between things. My MacBook does hate all headphones, so it's fair to say. Yeah, it's a real grump.
And there was one last thing which is truly bizarre, and it might be related to that what we said earlier about the magnets not clipping in properly. But I've had this headphone case with the buds in on charge, and the music still be playing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not sure how or why. Maybe one of the buds wasn't charging properly or whatever, but that's a very strange thing to happen. And particularly if it's in the case, if you think about you're playing something and you leave your case somewhere and someone's asleep or whatever, and it starts buzzing out. You don't want your headphones to be randomly playing stuff that you're listening to on your phone, do you? I mean,
ghost in the machine.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a random thing, but that it also makes me feel like they're not seated properly in the case.
Right.
So then on to the verdict, Nick. What do you think about these?
So we've whinged and whined our way through the last 50 minutes, as we always do. The job is to find the problems, right? I mean, overall, these are a perfectly acceptable set of headphones. The fit is very, very good. They sound fine. There's some bugs in the app, and the case is bizarre, but the battery life's good as well. They'll do the job. I think the problem for me is really at this price point, they're outclassed. You're not far away from kind of the top rung of things like the Jaybird Vista, the JBL Reflect Pro, and the Jabra Elite 4 Active are much cheaper. Their fit's not as good without a wing potentially, but they're much better headphones. I just think in terms of some of the big hitter stuff here, you're going to get the similar performance from cheaper buds, and I don't know if I'd be paying £140 for these basically.
Yeah, and I would completely concur. I think really good fit. I think that's an interesting one. If that's something that you maybe struggle with, that might be a big selling point here on these sort of slightly average sound performance. I think not only maybe you'll get a better value for money from something sort of slightly cheaper or other things at this price point, but if you want much higher quality, you don't have to go too far up the chain in order to cash in and get something that's much better on many fronts. Finding your bud locator, more custom EQ, more sound profiles, fit tests, all those kind of things that ANC. There's a lot of things that aren't quite there with these. They're perfectly okay. I think again, we always sort of say this on the channel, but if you knock the price down by 20 quid, I think they'd be way more compelling. They're
the best Adidas headphones I've tested.
Yeah.
I think I liked the ZNE01, just the in-ear ones without ANC, but their sound was quite poor, but they were very cheap, like £75 for kind of that AirPod style design. And then I've liked some of the wired ones, but I think the ZNE01 ANC weren't very good, were they? You tried those.
I wasn't blown away, and I think these are much more comfortable in the ear as well. I thought they felt a little bit more plastic, so I'd agree. I think these are the best Adidas.
Yeah. But no one's tied to a particular headphone brand, are they? So they'll probably be looking elsewhere.
So basically, Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot really quickly. Final bit in this video. We've obviously tested a lot of headphones recently. There are a lot in this space. It's a very competitive market. But against a few of the headphones, I want you to tell me which is the best. So, Jaybird Vista or these?
Jaybird Vista.
Same for me. Beats Fit Pro?
Oh, they did hurt my ears, but I'd probably force my ears to get used to it because I think they're better headphones all round.
I think I'd still be going Beats Fit Pro as well, even though they are slightly more expensive. And then the Jabra Elite 4 Active?
Yeah, they're slam dunk better because the fit works for me, even without the wings.
And really good value for money.
Yeah, they're much cheaper. They're fantastic headphones.
And the Shokz OpenRun.
Shokz, I'm warming to them a bit, but they're a different category, let's say that.
So there you have it, people. That's our review of the Adidas FWD-02 Sport. Forward 02 Sport.
Forward to Sport.
Forward to Sport headphones. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, hit us up down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, ring the bell. There are loads of other headphone reviews on the channel right now. There's quite a lot of head-to-heads that we've put out recently, so go and check them out if you're undecided what to buy. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again soon on the Run Testers.
Bye.